Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on the smart approach to grow your business. This webinar is being powered and organized by BlueInvest Community. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how can you support your business, grow your network, and move forward using the EuroQuity platform. Our panelist today is Marie Dolé. She is going to take over the floor in a few minutes. I also welcome all the attendees. Send your questions through the chatter. So we already gone through the sound checks, and normally we had no issues. If you have any, please raise your hand, and Sandra, my colleague, will be answering directly to you on a private message. Okay? This webinar is also going to be recorded, so it's important that you're all aware. And Marie, please, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll pass you on the floor.
Thank you very much, Renata. Thank you, Sandra, for doing this webinar. And I'd like to also thank Christina from our team that also helped me put up this presentation. So thank you all for attending this webinar. Just a quick introduction. As Renata said, my name is Marie. I'm in charge of the EuroQuity platform. Some of you are already on the community. Some are not yet on the community. So just overall description of the service. EuroQuity is a platform that was created in 2008 by BPI France. It's a French bank, public investment bank. And it's grown quite a lot in those past 12 years. Three things to know about EuroQuities is basically the fact that it's an online matchmaking platform for companies, for their partners, be it investors or business support structures. And it's a company with, it's a platform with over 12,000 companies today, mostly European companies, not only French. It's been backed and used by many European projects, such as Invest Horizon or Access for SME or Access for SME Seal of Excellence. So it's a platform that's very well known and used in Europe. We have over almost 2,000 investors on the platform, and we have also 1,000 business support structures. So that's basically just to understand the type of users. The key features, what you need to understand on the service is that when we created this service, we really wanted to create a platform that generates trust. Really, trust is really the core thing about EuroQuity. So to generate this trust, what you need to understand is that there are two pillars on EuroQuity. On one side, we've got community, and on the other side, we've got labels. So basically, communities are, well, just as the name pointed out, communities that are going to gather people by interest, by thematic, by sector, depends of, you can have different communities. And that's basically why we have a community for BlueInvest. Just a couple of figures. So we've been carrying out quite a few studies on the platform just to understand how people used it, what was the impact. What we can say is that basically the more companies are on communities, the more companies are on labels. Oh, I had a slight problem with my presentation. The more they tend to raise capital afterwards. So it was basically around 38% chances more. Since the beginning, the companies that are on EuroQuity raised over 500 million euros in equity. And we've also noticed that the companies that were on EuroQuity, most of them had a higher chance to raise capital within the next 5 years, and some even within 18 months. So just some key figures on that. Depending on the people that are here today at the webinar, I guess we have two categories. We have those that are already on the community, so you've kind of maybe already seen it, and those who are not yet on the community. So when you're not on the community yet, the first thing you need to do is obviously register on EuroQuity and then access the community, and you see you've got a yellow button, and that just basically you need to click on it to access the community. What are the important or at least useful features you have on EuroQuity, on the platform and on the community? It's first of all, I would say the access to the BlueInvest Academy. It's a digital academy that's going to help you learn, grow, thrive. You can have different trainings depending on different roles. You can have different webinars, MOOCs, and everything. This is something that's been put in place not so long ago, and that will continually improve. But that's something where obviously it's something very useful and powerful for the community. So do not hesitate to go on the Digital Academy through the community. It's pretty easy of access, but you know, if you have any questions, obviously we can always be here to answer them. Another thing also that's important is that when you get on the community, you also have what we call an online library, where you can find some public files, and then you can have some community member content. So these can be information on BlueInvest, it can be PDFs, it can be studies, it can be just basically any interesting content. So, you know, just look when you're on the community on the data room part. And I know people tend to kind of forget and not necessarily click on it, but it's worth knowing. And again, this is something that will be updated on a current basis. So do not hesitate to check that part. Another thing is, obviously, the goal of the community is just like a social network. I think that, you know, just to give you kind of the vision, when my colleagues created the platform in 2008, they already had envisioned to create like some kind of like TripAdvisor of the business, so if it can, you know, help you vision the thing. And when you get on the community, you've got obviously the first part where you can, you know, start conversations. So obviously you've got the administrators of the community that will, you know, post content, and, you know, you can discuss and like, just like a social network. But I think that's also here a place where you can be asking all your questions. Like, are you looking for a recommendation? Are you looking for a partnership? Are you looking for advice? Do you have any questions, or do you have like some good tips to share? Again, don't be shy, because more and more people are joining the community, people that are in the same sector as you are, and that may have, you may have interests together that you may not well be aware of. So again, you know, that's what I say when I host webinars, you know, for communities. It's really, don't be shy. Do not hesitate, and, you know, there are no silly questions. Just go ahead and make the best out of it. Now I'm just going to go dive into something which I think is obviously important, is about generating leads, and is about getting contact with investors, because most of you at some point will probably be looking to raise capital. So just wanted to go through like a few tips and suggestions to make sure you're doing the best out of the platform. So first of all, you know, I did this slide, and now I said, now how do you want to catch an investor's eye? So you've got two profiles on this page, left and right. Obviously, I mean, to me, it looks quite obvious, but, you know, spot the difference. So on the left, obviously it's a profile that was created, but, you know, that put nothing, no information. And on the right, you've got a profile that's got information, that's got images, that's got PDF, that's got its pitch deck, its business plan on their data room, that's put information on the company. Just basically, it's as you know, as well you know, researched out as it could be. And why is it that important? Is because you need to understand how companies, how investors are using the platform. Investors that register on the platform do not have the time to come every day on the platform. But what they're interested in is having a look at the deal flow, and a deal flow that will match their search criteria. So many investors on the platform are going to create alerts. Alerts for, let's say, a company that is in this sector, or is going to create an alert for maybe companies that have notified that they were looking to raise capital. So if you do not update your profile and you do not show that you're looking to raise money, those investors are not going to know it. So that's why it's very, very important to complete your profile. I took an example of a profile that's well completed. what are the information that are important is obviously to highlight the activity of the business. If you've got videos, if you've got slide shares, if you've got images, anything that can make it like visually appealing is important. If you've got specific sectors, subsectors, if you're in tech with like a specific like subsector, use tags, make it stand out. What's important also is to put the team members. The more you have team members with information regarding their background, what they've done, also the extended network, sharing news, highlighting some events you've organized, putting some documents in your data room. The more information you provide, the easier it will be for investors to review your profile. Again, if you were to do maybe just one thing, I would say is really make sure the profile is complete, because it's just as everyone, like if an investor comes and has just access to everything, he'll look and he'll contact you if he's interested. If he's not, well, maybe he'll find it interesting and ask for questions, maybe not. But again, it would be kind of a pity to lose that option just because the profile is not complete. That's, again, something very important is that if you're looking to raise capital, please there is a feature on the platform which allows you to show that you're looking for money. You have some requirements. I mean, to complete your fundraising, you have to be part of a community, which is not a problem since most of you are or will be part of the BlueInvest. You need your VAT identification number. But really, this is something important because a lot of investors have alerts in relation to companies that are looking to raise capital. So as soon as you put it up, they will get a notification telling you that they are looking to raise capital. So again, this is something very important. Just showing you quickly the tab. When you go on your profile, you've got this tab for the fundraising. So honestly, it's very simple. You describe, you put your progress status if you already have some investors that have committed to investing, and then you just follow the different things that are being asked. But honestly, it's pretty simple. I think that the hardest part is actually to press the button and open it, but then afterwards, it's very simple. Another thing also that's very important is that even though I'd say most of the companies are looking for investors primarily, we have also the possibility on EuroQuity to highlight partnerships. So if you're looking to a specific partnership in a specific industry or for a specific project or POC or something like that, show it on your profile. You've got it on your administration page. You can click the button to show that you're looking for a partnership. So that's also something that's important and also worth stating. And then, once you open it, you can also share maybe on the community an information saying that you're looking for this type of partnership. And, that's, again, a way of sparking discussions and getting people to react and obviously hopefully finding the right partner. Just a few additional recommendations, and I think I'm right on time because I expected this to be around 20 minutes and then have a Q&A, so I'll be right on time. One thing is also to be proactive is do not hesitate to contact investors directly. You've got access to the search box on EuroQuity, and you can look for funds that are on the platform. So once your profile is complete, once you've got your pitch deck in the data room, once you've got basically all the information that could be interesting for an investor to review, contact them, just, send them a message on the platform and see if they get back to you and they're interested. But really, I mean, you've got nothing to lose. Be it technological partners, as I said it, or just, you're looking for capital, again, show it. You've got features on the platform, so use them to make sure that if someone has an alert that triggers on this feature, then they will be notified when you put it on. And then something else I wanted to point out is that you are part of the Blue community, which has obviously a lot of features and a lot of benefits. But there are other European projects on EuroQuity, and you can also try and connect with other European projects and other ecosystems. So do not hesitate to browse around EuroQuity, look for yourself, and just again be proactive and see if there are other opportunities or other communities that could be of interest to help you grow your business just in general. And I hope this was clear enough. I hope it helps you out. I wanted to say as well that our motto at EuroQuity is really to be as close as possible to our communities, our clients, our partners. So you may not see her on the screen, but Christina, who's been doing a tremendous work on the community, is here, and she helps out Sandra and Renata. So if you have any questions on the platform, do reach out to her, and you can also reach out to me. So and basically everyone around here. So I hope this was clear enough, and I'm more than happy to now take on with your questions.
Thank you, Marie, so much for this very illustrative and thorough explanation. We will now open for questions, and Sandra has been mapping them as all the participants were sending it across, and she will be reading them out loud in the behalf of the participants with the participant's name, and then you can address the question. Sounds good?
Perfect.
So we will start with the very first question that came in about the confidentiality. Maybe Marie will be able to shed some more light on this. So essentially, Jean-François is asking who can actually see the profile of the companies, and whether the competitors, for example, could see the information that has been posted.
Okay, so that's a very good question. When you have your profile on EuroQuity, you've got different parameters of confidentiality. So if you have some information which is not confidential, you can just put it as public. If you've got some information that's pretty much confidential, then you can add it in your data room and specify that it's only for investors. And if it's like really crucial information and you really want to make sure you know who is exactly going to get access to it, there's another feature that allows you to give the access only to a person when it's specifically asked. So for instance, if you were discussing with an investor and that investor said, I want to check out your pitch deck, then you could give him the access at that moment. So again, those three confidentiality parameters will guarantee that depending on the case in which you are, you don't have any problems with what you share. Something else I wanted to share with you is the fact that obviously we've been around for 12 years, and just as any platform out there, when you start out, you make some mistakes and then you learn, and then this basically the story of our life. And what we've been doing for the past couple of years is that now investors that register on the platform are verified. That means that if someone registers on the platform and says that he's an investor, he cannot access profiles until he's validated by someone from the team. So that's also something which, at 99% guarantees also the quality of the investors, of the leads, of the service in general.
Thank you, Marie. Very clear. We're going to move on to the next question. I have one here, Sandra, and then you shoot the next one. Generally, David said he's going to open a startup, but there's still no official company VAT available, so they could not register. How are they supposed to approach the platform?
Well, I would recommend, having their VAT number and then opening the account. If really he would, maybe he can email me and, we can discuss this together and find another option. But I mean, at some point he will open his company. So I would, I just suggest to wait that moment. But, I'm more than happy to discuss this by email and, find a solution if you're eager to join the EuroQuity.
Yes, Mr. David, if you wish, you can send us an email also in BlueInvest, and we'll make sure to liaise that with Marie and Christina. Sandra, you will have the next question ready?
Yes, so we actually also have a question from an investor, and maybe Marie, you would be able to help on that one as well. So essentially the question is whether information on the platform can be filtered by investors. So whether the members on the platform can be filtered, for example, based on the type of investment or by the size of the investment.
It's more complicated. You can find investors, but since not all of them will fill that information, we don't necessarily have that level of granularity.
Okay, we also have another question about the companies that BPI could be investing in. The question is whether BPI will also be open for investment into the European companies, even if they are not French.
They have to have their companies or something that's based in France. At least some offices in France in order for BPI France to invest. It doesn't necessarily have to be the headquarters, but it has to have offices in France.
I have another one that came through the chat. What company stages are usually targeted by investors on the platform? Do you have any studies or analyticals that follow this kind of trend?
Well, I would say that originally we had a lot of investors that came for seed and early stage companies, but now this is actually shifting because, well, since we've got companies that registered, a couple of years ago, well, they're not seed anymore. So I think it's just the evolution of the platform, and also because we have partners that are also into more like Series A, Series Bs. Like for instance, Invest Horizon, which is another European project, is to help companies raise Series A, and we have another community as well, which is called Business France Invest, which helps international investors find investment opportunities in France, and it's also for more like Series A, B companies. So I'd say originally seed, early stage, but now it's moving on. So I think at some point it's just going to be the whole continuum, Series A, B, C in general.
We had a question about sharing the information about the BlueInvest community via LinkedIn, for example, from Vote. And Vote will get back to you because there should not be any issues that you have been experiencing.
Yeah, so, the problem has already been reported as well since Vote already communicated that concern with me. It should smoothly work, but I think the programming or the technical team is addressing the issue at the moment.
I also have one from Mr. Myrode. Has EuroQuity been able to gain support and involvement from UK and German investors?
Yeah, we have UK and German investors on the platform. We've got just European investors, but yeah, you can look up when you are on the platform on the search box. You can filter the investors by country, so you can look at the investors that are here. And we definitely, I wouldn't have names right now, but definitely we do have German and UK investors.
I see one question from Ander de Bustos. Are the investors willing to approach the companies without a previous face-to-face meeting? How is the process when there is potential interest or match?
We've got different approaches. Sometimes we have just investors that will send emails, direct messages on the platform. We also have, sometimes we receive direct messages. So sometimes we have investors on the platform that send us an email, to some team members of EuroQuity asking questions about, this company, and, that we sometimes put them in contact as well. And then again, we have also companies that just directly contact investors, and it starts from there. We are a platform that does the matchmaking, so we look like we've got some KPIs as to the number of messages that are sent on the platform, but then we do not necessarily track until like the closing. But we have let's say some pretty good feedbacks on just again companies contacting investors and then discussions starting from there.
One final question that I think it could be interesting. Does the investor subscribe a general NDA with the platform in EuroQuity not to disclose information is shared by the companies?
We do not have a general NDA with EuroQuity. Again, as I said previously, you've got different levels of confidentiality on EuroQuity. So it's up to the company to know and to determine what level of confidentiality it wants to give the investors on the platform. So, again, as I said, sometimes, you may have some deep tech companies that have some like innovation and are, really scared about competition and everything. And so I tell them, just, again, put the information you're comfortable with and do not share what you're not comfortable. It's like any other platform. It's like, on Facebook, just share what you're actually willing to share publicly. And if you've got some private matters, don't share them, and maybe do it in another way, or maybe face-to-face if you're more comfortable. But again, EuroQuity allows you to determine the level you want to have. So just make sure that when you upload something, you're comfortable and you pick the right solution depending on your company.
Perfect. And there is one question that I think it's interesting to address for everyone, and it came from Mr. Courage. He asked if there is in the platform anywhere addressing accelerator programs for SMEs and startups.
We do have some accelerators that are on the platform, and we have, again, some accelerator programs on EuroQuity. Do not hesitate to reach out, and we can detail the different ones we have on the platform. I see one question. It says it's Mark that asks if we're comparing with Facebook, and I hope not. Definitely not. Definitely not. And just to make you comfortable, we do not have ads. We do not sell data. We do not do anything rather than just the use of the platform. So no, just I hope you didn't understand me wrong. And when I took that example, it was just basically in general to say that there are different ways of sharing information. But obviously, we do not sell your information. We do not do anything with your information, and it's just strictly used for the service. Just really, I hope I make that clear. Sorry, Mark.
And then there was one question that was privately and relaunched now. What is the typical investment range of the investors from EuroQuity?
To be completely transparent, I wouldn't know. I don't want to give you a wrong figure. There are things we can see. For instance, we carry out some pitch sessions, and when we do some pitch sessions, at least in France, which is the part I deal with, we have tickets that go from, I'd say, 1 million to maybe 5 or 6. But that's just part of my scope. It's not the overview of the platform. So, Joker, I don't know en français, I don't know if that's the word in English, but I'll pass on that question.
That's okay. Perfect. We are still receiving a lot of questions in the last 2 or 3 minutes. For all of those, we're going to make sure to map those questions and address them back to you via email. Marie, thank you so much. We would like to just do a soft landing for the question relating to acceleration programs and other support systems and schemes for SMEs. So the BlueInvest platform has been developed as well to support companies and projects that are willing to become investment ready. We do have assistance package that is called BlueInvest Readiness Assistance. through the European Maritime Forum, you will be able to find this and apply to this assistance, as well as companies looking for investors can apply to be part of our pipeline. So the BlueInvest pipeline will support showcasing highly innovative companies, projects, and startups into the BlueInvest, into the blue economy, and into the BlueInvest sector and investors. On that note, I would ask Catherine to see if she has any other remarks or any addition to this webinar.
Yes, hi. Thanks, Renata. And maybe what I can do then is also address this last question from Patrick, whether investors show much interest in early stage companies or willing to accept patient investment. And this is what both EuroQuity and the BlueInvest project are doing, because we're bringing the investors together. Investors are interested in different types of technologies, and they are interested in good companies or entrepreneurs with sound business plans. So if you are forthright about, you know, when you will be up and running, how ready your technology is, there is a chance you will find an investor that's interested. But on our side, the technology also has to be interesting. So the answer is it depends on what you're offering and how developed your business plan is, and that is linked to the readiness assistance. And what we're going to be doing, I believe it was mentioned, I think it was probably mentioned in the start, is we're going to be releasing a series of webinars. We're going to be releasing articles from very good coaches who are in our network. We're going to be featuring accelerators and other organizations that are part of this ecosystem. And more importantly, we are in touch with investors and large corporates who are looking for companies that have, or entrepreneurs with very good technologies that can resolve some of the big challenges we have now. So Renata, Sharif, Sandra will be getting in touch with you. Watch this space.
Just one last add-on is that there are different type of investors, and that's also something you can sort out on EuroQuity. You can see the business angels, VCs, CVCs. So that's also something you can look out and filter.
So following this webinar, we are going to be sending an email to all the participants with the links to the events that were previously mentioned by Catherine, as well as to all the assistance and all the different opportunities that the BlueInvest community will provide you as far as information, training, showcase into a pipeline, investors, networking, and assistance. So it's a very holistic view into getting your company investment ready and making sure that we thrive in the blue economy. For the questions that we unfortunately could not address, we are also taking note of those, and we'll try to answer them in the coming days via email. I would just thank everyone for putting together such a nice webinar, for having a very good and clear view on how EuroQuity can power and leverage our companies to investors, and also can give visibility to investors on innovative companies playing in different sectors, in our case specifically for the blue economy. And for all the attendees, I thank you so much for your time, for joining us. And we stay open in the blue-invest email address that you can find in the follow-up email for all your concerns and to support you in any other steps on your company growth. Thank you so much.